It is I, Ash, here to bring you another reading vlog. This time all the books are on the Kindle because I wasn't feeling any of my physical books. So, I don't know, take with that information what you will. As you can see, I have already started one. It's called The Imposter King. It is about this guy who is essentially like, he's gonna be put to death, and then like the King's Royal Guard like busts in and like, we're taking this man, and they're like, no, he's to be put to death, and they're like, don't worry about that. And so they take him and they use him to be the Imposter King because apparently the king, the real king, is fated to die between now and the eclipse. This is like ancient Mesopotamian inspired. It's very like, takes place way back when, but also there's magic. And so he is like trying to go about his life, trying to plot his escape, and it's not going very well. He's scared he's gonna die. He doesn't want to die. He's a bit of a coward. He says so himself. That's not me like projecting. I'm like, no, he actually says that. He's like, yeah, no, I'm a coward. I don't want to die. And I'm like, I can respect that. So let me show you what the cover looks like. I know you've already seen it, but I'm going to show you again. Here's the cover. It's so pretty. I've wanted to read this book ever since I heard about it, like probably 2 years ago. But yeah, I was just really intrigued by like the description of it being like ancient Mesopotamian inspired. I was like, oh, I've never read a book like that. That seems so like fascinating. Like historical, like it has to be like historically accurate, even though it takes place in a fantasy world. It still has to be like, this is stuff that they would have done, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So that's one of my books. I wanted to read it for a while. It was like $1.99 on the Kindle, so I was like, I snatched that up real quick. All right, the next book has a couple different covers. I think it was published independently, and then Trad Publishing took it up, because I've seen it also just as Bat Eater, but next book is Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zeng. I've seen this book around on Fable mostly, and it sounded really interesting, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I was like, okay, we're gonna read that. It's kind of like a thriller horror set during the COVID pandemic, so I am curious to see, one, how I react to that, and two, how it's gonna be like portrayed. It takes place in New York during like the height of the COVID pandemic, like April 2020. And Cora is suspected that a serial killer is like stalking her, I think. So, because he keeps leaving like signs at like, she's a crime scene cleanup person, and this serial killer that she thinks is like hunting her keeps leaving signs at the crime scenes. So it seems like it's a really interesting concept. I'm so excited to get into it. I'm curious to see how the COVID pandemic is like played, I guess. Like, I don't know. I haven't read a lot of literature surrounding the COVID pandemic. I think the only thing I've read is a short story in a translated work. It's called Miss Kim Knows and Other Stories. It's the very last story. It's about like 2 little kids during the COVID pandemic. I think that's the only piece of media I've read about the pandemic, so I'm curious to see what I think of this. So yeah, that's my second book. I might read some of that this morning if I feel like it. I don't know, I feel like I picked such good books this time around. I'm so excited to get to all of them. And last but not least, we have Cemetery Boys, which is, I don't know a lot about this one. I know it's about a trans boy trying to prove he's a bruja, a witch. That's literally all I know about this, actually. I know it's very queer, and I know it's probably very, not spooky, but like very Halloween-y vibes, and I'm still riding that Halloween wave, so I'm like, yes, give me more of it. That is really all I know about Cemetery Boys, but again, it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I was like, ha 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 ha, mine. Those are my 3 books. I have my little coffee with me. Isn't it cute? Isn't this mug adorable? I got it at work. Speaking of, I do have work like all day today, but I woke up super early because of fallback. So I'm looking forward to like a couple hours of reading time before I have to go in. Very excited about that. Other than that, I mean, I've got a couple essays to write for school, so I don't know how much reading I'll be doing. 3 books seems a little optimistic for a week where I have to write like 2 essays, 2 like thickums essays. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I'll get all this done. Because it's on my Kindle, I just read faster on the Kindle because I can't see how many pages are left. I feel like, I don't know. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I'll read all 3 of these, but I will keep you updated. All right, I will see y'all later. Hello, it is a couple days later. I have some reading updates, I have some beef stew updates, and I have a little mini book haul that I would like to show you. First, let's start with the reading updates. I have started The Imposter King. Well, I was already a little bit into The Imposter King when I started the video, but I've continued The Imposter King, and I have started Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zeng. And I have thoughts on both of them. With The Imposter King, I think it's the debut novel, and it kind of shows. Like, a lot of it is very descriptive. Like, it's descriptive, and I like that it's descriptive, but it's possibly overly descriptive. Like, I feel like I'm over halfway through the book, and I feel like most of what I've read has been like descriptions of the opulence of the palace. I did they mentioned a couple times, because the real king is he's very, I don't know how to describe this. Like, we would say he rules with an iron fist, but in the book they said bronze fist, which I really appreciated, because of course in ancient Mesopotamia they wouldn't have iron. So I thought that was a nice touch. And the book, it's really, I imagine it's really well researched. It feels like it is. I don't know that much about Mesopotamia, so I don't know if it's well researched, but he seems to know what he's talking about. My only problem is that not a lot is happening, and I feel like he's making it, the book is 300 pages, so it's kind of short for a fantasy novel. And I feel like half of it has been, this is a display of opulence from the palace. And as much as I appreciate getting all that description, it's can we get a little action? Just Hamish, you're jangling the tripod. But it's not bad. It's 3.5 stars so far. Like, it's fine. It's average. I probably won't remember it. And then Bat Eater, or as I've been calling it, Cora Zeng, is very... It's also very descriptive. It uses a lot of, like, personification of the city of New York and a lot of, like, talk of bodily anatomy in its sort of descriptors. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. The thing I didn't know is that Cora has OCD. And I don't know if it's been diagnosed. They haven't said Cora has OCD, but, like, it's very obvious. And so I'm reading it and I'm like, I gotta be careful, because if I, like, take too much stock into something, I'm like, what if I get a new obsession? And it takes place during the height of the COVID pandemic, so it's very, like, and Cora's terrified of, like, dirtiness and germs. She's not, like, scared of being sick, she's just afraid of, like, the idea of having dirt or germs on her, which, relatable. I mean, who can argue with her? But it's also, I think I've gotten up to the point where I thought at first it was a serial killer stalking her, and this is kind of spoilers, by the way, so if you're gonna read this, maybe just skip past this part. I thought it was a serial killer stalking her, but I think she's being haunted. That seems to be what the author is implying so far. Well, not implying, it kind of straight up says she's being haunted, so it's a little bit different than I thought. And then it's also, like, dropping hints about, I think, a stay in a psych hospital. So I can't be in a bad headspace when I read this one, because if I am, I'll just spiral myself. But other than like having to be wary of when I read it, it's going really well. It's written really well. I've read, I think, another book by Kylie Lee Baker, The Scarlet Alchemist, and I really enjoyed that one. I'm gonna double check that was her when I'm editing this and make sure that I'm not, like, lying to anyone. But I really enjoyed that one. I rated it 5 stars, and I think the second book in that series actually came out recently, so I need to look into that. But that's how my books are going. I haven't started Cemetery Boys yet, because I thought starting 3 books at a time would be a little ambitious even for me. But as soon as I finish The Imposter King, I will start Cemetery Boys. Also, as you can see, I made beef stew last night, and I'm very pleased with myself. It's so good. It's delicious. I love it. Also, it's like a week of dinner that I don't have to worry about, so that's great. And it's so good. But yeah. And then today, I have not gotten that much reading done today. I listened to Queen of Shadows in the car on the way to school, but I've been at school and then doing a little bit of homework and then errands. But on my errands, I got some books. So I made up for it. I made up for my not reading by acquiring more reading material. But let me show you what I got, because I was selling books. The store that I went to does a buyback thing. So I got like $35 for, I don't know, 8 or 9 books. So I went and I spent that $35 plus like $10 more on more books. So basically I only spent $10. Girl math. But let me show you what I got. Orlando by Virginia Woolf. I am obsessed with this cover. I think it's so cool looking. It's so, like, wonky. And I love the ransom note of the title and the author. It's very, like, gimme your money or else. And the little person on the, I imagine that's supposed to be Orlando. But I'm very intrigued by this. It's very, like, from what I can tell from the little blurb on the inside, it's very genderqueer. Tilda Swinton blurbed it. Oh my god. Very genderqueer. It says, written for the charismatic bisexual writer Vita Sackville West. And, I mean, if that doesn't draw you in, what will? Look at the back of this, too. Look at that. Oh my god. So, it's a Penguin classic. I'm very excited about this. Oh, there's a foreword. How fun. I'm very excited about this one. I want to get to it soon. I've heard good things. And also Orlando is in As You Like It. And As You Like It is one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. So even better. And then I have this book, The Future of Silence, fiction by Korean women. So I think it's just like I'm pretty sure what it is like just, yeah, I think it's just short stories or excerpts from work by Korean women. It's translated by Bruce and Juchan Fulton. So I'm intrigued by this one. I'm intrigued because I think there's 9 stories or excerpts or whatever they are in this book. It's small too, so I think it's short stories. It smells like the bookshop. It doesn't actually say. Whatever. So I'm intrigued by this one. I'm probably going to read it all in one sitting because it's so short, and also because I don't read short stories like you're supposed to, probably, and read them like one at a time with time in between. I won't remember to do that. I'll like put the book down after reading a story and then not pick it up again because I don't know. And then last, this was a book that was actually on my books to buy physically list on Fable. So I'm very pleased that I found it. It's The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. And it says it's a military fantasy. It was $10, very exciting. It's a military fantasy, yeah, an unmissable epic fantasy debut of uprising, espionage, and empire. She's pretty thick too. What's this? It's all gray. Oh, extras. Okay, so eliminating the gray pages. That is my tiny book haul. Well, medium book haul. It depends on how much money you have, I think, comparatively to what you want to call this book haul. But I think that's all I have for today. I'm not sure how much reading I'm going to get done because I have an essay due Thursday that I have to get done by tomorrow. Yeah, so I'm not sure how much reading I'll get done today. Plus, I've been, like, very recently, like in the past day or so, have gotten back into the Great British Baking Show. So that's been taking up a lot of my time as well. It's just there's something so addictive about it. But other than that, this has kind of been a long update. Other than that, I think that is all I have to tell you for now. I will see y'all later. Welcome back. It's a couple days later. I was right, I did not get much reading done because of previously mentioned essays and also the Great British Bake Off, which has been consuming all of my time. I finished the season I was on. I'm so pleased with the winner. I just didn't want it to be this one guy, and it wasn't, and I like the girl who did win, so I'm like, yes on both fronts. I have later today, I don't have school or anything today, but I did sign up for something at my school called an ink talk, which is essentially like I'm gonna go for 2 hours and learn about like how, not the Victorians I think, but like the Elizabethans and like the medieval people made their ink and like wrote on paper and everything. And then I get to make my own ink and like write with a quill, and I get to bring my ink and my quill home, and it's gonna decorate somewhere on my bookshelf, so I'm very jazzed about that. This is really the only reason I signed up, was so I could have my own ink to put on my bookshelf. I just thought that would look so cool. So yeah, that's later today. I might get some footage of that if I feel comfortable doing that, but I will definitely show you later the ink. I'll like show you the ink and the quill and maybe some of my writing. And I'll show it on the bookshelf. I haven't decided which bookshelf, maybe on the classics shelf perhaps. That would make the most sense, I feel like. But let's get into the reading updates. I have finished The Imposter King. I believe I rated it 3.5 stars, if I'm remembering correctly. And the reason I did is because, yeah, it was fine. You know, it was fine. I'm not particularly intrigued enough to go out and buy the next book. I was really excited about this one because I've never read a book set in a sort of ancient Mesopotamian inspired world before. I thought that was going to be super cool, and it was. But a lot of it felt filler, even though it was only 300 pages, 304, I think. A lot of the content felt like it was filler stuff, there wasn't a whole lot of plot happening, or there wasn't enough plot happening to fill the 300 pages, even though that's pretty short for a fantasy book. Apparently it's a 5-book series. I have no idea where it can go from where it ended, which is again another reason. It ended kind of on a cliffhanger. There was a little piece of oh, there's more, but it wasn't that intriguing, I guess. I've used that word a lot. It wasn't that captivating. I wasn't hooked by it. So I might read the next one if it's cheap. I think it's $2.99 on the Kindle. But I also just as easily might not. So yeah, it was just I wasn't compelled by the romance. I wasn't, rooting for any of the characters. Well, I was rooting for one of them, and then something happened, and then I was like, well, then what's the fucking point? Yeah, it was just kind of disappointing. My full review is on Fable. If you want to follow me, it's Ash Needs Coffee as well. So I know I can verify my identity and put a link in the bio, but it's so much work. And then I have not read any more of Cora Zeng. Yeah, so I'll try and read Cora Zeng at some point, but I did start Cemetery Boys, and I am 25% of the way through, and damn, those chapters are long. I'm a quarter of the way through and I'm on chapter 6. You're a quarter of the way through and you're starting chapter 6. They are long chapters, which isn't necessarily bad. I don't mark chapters that much when I read, so it's not a huge problem for me, but I did notice, I was damn, these chapters are really long. But the version I have, I guess it's newer because there was an author's note in the beginning. It was touching. It was very stay strong, you are not alone, don't ban books, stuff like that. Protect trans kids, And the book so far has been pretty good. It's all about I think the book takes place in 4 or 5 days leading up to Dia de los Muertos. So it's very timely because that was just a couple days ago. And also it's very atmospheric. There's a lot of ghosts. Yadriel lives next to a cemetery. It's just very very atmospheric. It's not creepy or anything. It's very Day of the Dead celebration-y, sugar skulls. So it's not creepy. It's woohoo. It's very homely, I guess, and very comforting. Day of the Dead, I feel is different vibe-wise from Halloween. More because Halloween is about evil spirits, I feel and Day of the Dead is about your dead loved ones. So just the vibes are different concerning those two holidays, I guess. And so reading a book leading up to Dia de los Muertos, it's very homecoming almost. It's very welcoming, and it's also well written. It's a good book. I'm intrigued by it. If I was gonna choose a new name for myself, I would not choose Yadriel, but to each their own. I also there was an instance where his grandma said his dead name, but the way the author did it was like he had the dialogue and then he ended the dialogue and said, and then Yadriel's dead name slipped from her mouth. And I was like, oh, that's a very clever way to do that. Because that way you don't pull up the dead name. And I know it's like you can't really disrespect a fictional character, but it's like you don't mention trans people's dead names. So it was a very clever way to do that, and it worked really, like, it wasn't clunky at all. I thought it was a very clever way to pull that off, so I liked that a lot. And then also, this is on page 1, so this is not spoilers at all, but it literally said a hydro flask of chicken blood, and that made me chuckle. I thought that was funny. But yeah, so far I am really liking it. I'm hoping to finish it either today or tomorrow. I know I just started it today, but I think I can pull it off. It's like 344 pages, I think. I think I can read it today, if I really set my mind to it. I know I have Ink Talk, but that's only 2 hours. I think I can do it. And I finished my season of the Great British Baking Show, so I can't start a new one because I'm still attached to all the old contestants. I have to wait a little while. Is that weird? Does anyone else do that? I don't know. But yeah, I've got my candle going. I made scones last night. Apple cinnamon scones. They're really good. So I've got my candle going. I've had some scones. Probably gonna make another coffee. I think this time I'll put maple syrup in it. I think that sounds really good. Like maple syrup, maybe some cinnamon and nutmeg while the coffee is steeping. Oh, that sounds delicious, actually. I might go do that. Or I did buy peppermint mocha creamer yesterday. It is that time, so we'll see. I'll update you. All right, bye. Hi, I'm popping back on to mention that I've never read a ghost romance before, and that is kind of what this is, I think. I'm pretty sure he, like, I'm pretty sure the plot of the book is he summons this boy from his high school who died, like, day of his death, and he accidentally summons him, and then they fall in love, question mark. I've never read a ghost romance before, mostly because I've always wondered how they could have a happy ending. And maybe that's a bit, like, family-centric of me, but, like, also, how do you kiss a ghost? I don't know. It's just, it's always confused me, and I've never wanted to find out, because, like, what if it's a sad ending? So, yeah. This is, like, my first ghosty romance, so I just popped back on to say that. Okay. Bye. Welcome back to our final reading update. There has been a bit of a change of plans, or there was a change in plans, because I was not feeling very well yesterday, and therefore very much not in the mood to read an OCD-inspired horror story. So instead, I started and finished The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore, and I'm going to count that as my third book for this vlog instead of Cora Zeng, which I will be finishing probably in the next one. I just have like half of it left and I need to end this video, so we're just gonna move it over. Before I talk to you about my books, I'm gonna give you a little update on how Ink Talk went. It was really fun. It was very informative, and I made my own ink, and I'm pretty good at writing with a quill, I think. You know, make your own judgments. But it was so fun. It was so cool because we got these little jars, and they were full of, like, yellow stuff. And then we poured some copper into it, and it turned black. And it was so cool. It was like science, which is like, I haven't done science in years. But as you can see, I have my ink and quill sitting on my classic shelf. I thought it was very appropriate. It was really fun. It was really informative. It really, I think I'm glad I did it because I need to get more involved in things that my university does. So yeah, I'm glad I did it. It was really fun, and it was so fun to write and watch like the ink get darker because it like reacts with oxygen to like make a deeper shade. It was very cool. And I learned a lot about like the ink making process, and I kind of want to do it myself now. Like I kind of just want to make my own ink just for fun. I don't know. But yeah, it was really cool. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed my videos. I'm sorry I didn't get one of the ink turning. I didn't think about it, so. But onto the reading updates. Let's talk about Cemetery Boys, because that shit, y'all, was so good. That shit was so good. Oh my god, it was amazing. So close to being 5 stars. It was just, there was a little bit at the end where I was like, I feel like we could have gotten more from this. But other than that, it was 4.75 stars, so it was very close. And then it kind of got me in the mood yesterday for Heartstopper, so I watched all of season 1 of Heartstopper yesterday, partially because I wasn't feeling well and that's such a comforting show, and partially because like I was in the mood for some queer joy. Because yes, there were some hardships that Yadriel faced, but it was so like positive by the end of it, and it was so like we're going in a good direction. It was very happy. Also dog butt. It was very happy overall, I think. Like I did cry though a couple times. Yeah, the ghost romance resolved itself, if that's not too spoilery. Maybe it is. I'll tag spoilers. The ghost romance figured itself out. I figure that's probably how a lot of ghost romances do it. I read, possibly last year, possibly earlier this year, Under the Whispering Door. And that was another, like, ghosty romance kind of thing. I forgot I had read that. And that he was a ghost-ish. It was so good. And the story was just, like, Yathiel is so innocent, in a way. He's just so, like, he's so good. He's like a good person. And it reminded me actually a lot of Heartstopper, just because it's like, you know, queer teens in high school. It wasn't like similar that much. It was just sort of the aspect of like a group of queer teenagers all hanging out together type thing. And I was like, yeah, that's good shit. But it was so good. I'm definitely gonna read the next book. I'm just so glad I finally read it, because it was on Kindle Unlimited, and then I think I bought it on sale possibly on the Kindle. I might get a physical copy because it was that good. But yeah, I'm so glad I read it. It was so, and I don't normally love YA. Like YA has to be done really well for me to be like, yes, this is good shit. And that was good shit. So Aiden Thomas, fantastic job. I know like my praise doesn't mean much, but like that I think is all I have to say for now about Cemetery Boys, other than please go read it. It was so good. And then so I did read a little bit of Cora Zeng this morning, and it's still very like very much untreated OCD, very much I'm being haunted. Plus there's a serial killer. It's just very like, it's reminding me a lot of my own experience, and it's not pleasant. But it's really well written. So I am gonna finish it. I'm not sure I could reread it. And I don't love, this is just a personal problem, but I don't love the whole unreliable narrator thing because they have a mental disability. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way. That being said, I think it's okay if the author does it in a respectful way. And I think Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zeng is doing it in a respectful way. I can only hope that she gets some sort of treatment at the end of the book, like therapy or something. But that's always been something, like alcoholism and mental disorders being used as like, oh, they're an unreliable narrator, has always kind of bugged me. So that's just a personal gripe. It's got nothing to do with the actual like quality of the book. let's talk about the Christmas Tree Farm, because it is actually the first in the Dream Harbor series that I've read. I meant to read the Pumpkin Spice Cafe this fall and just never got around to it. But I was feeling something Christmassy, something holiday-y, and something like really light and easy to read. So I was like, you know what? I've had the Christmas Tree Farm since I think last December on my Kindle. Let me pick this up and read it. And y'all, I ate that shit up. That was so good. It was so, and I'm not gonna say it was reverse Grumpy Sunshine because that always bugs me, but that's what you would call it when the girl is grumpy and the guy is like, eh. But the girl was grumpy. Her name is Kira. And the guy, I was a little worried about reading this one because one of my brother's best friends' name is Bennett, but it wasn't weird. So yay. Although I will refuse to read anything where the protagonist has my brother's name. If it's a romance, I'm just not going to do that. Sorry. It's not happening. Or my dad's name. My roommate is a vampire. The vampire's name is Frederick. And I was like one chapter in and I was like, I can't do this actually. But yeah, the Christmas Tree Farm, it was so adorable. It was so just like absolutely what I needed because I wasn't feeling well. And I was like, I need something light and easy and something that's gonna make me feel good. Yeah, the Christmas Tree Farm, super cute. I think I rated it 4 something. 4 point something. I forget. It was good. It was exactly what I needed. And it wasn't overly like Christmassy either, which was kind of nice because you know how sometimes it's just like Santa Claus. It was more like Santa Claus. So yeah, that was nice. I think I'm gonna be doing a lot of Christmassy reading this year. I did a little bit last year, but I have a lot on my Kindle and there's a lot on Kindle Unlimited. My plan was also to read a lot of fall romance this year and that never happened, so we'll see how it goes. So yeah, those are the 3 books that I read. I know it wasn't the 3 books that I said I was gonna read, but I'm still proud of myself for reading 3 books, so what can you do? All right, this is the end of the vlog. Say bye, Seamus. All right, I will see y'all next time.